What's going on, everyone? Rockwood Gaming back again for our third video. We have completed reinforcing both the foundations and the walls with wood. We have left the ceiling as thatch, and that is to allow us to expand it a little higher once we get to the point where we can make a dino gate. So what we're going to be doing this morning is we're going to be trying to get our first couple dodos. As you can see, we've got some Argents in the area. Now, some people are a little afraid of those early on. They are actually not only great experience, but they're also a very easy way to get some early metal tools, as well as some potentially better primitive weapons, but the real gain is if we can get a metal hatchet or pick from them. So if he comes a little lower, he will probably aggro on this, but another way to get him to come down is if he can kill something small. That'll draw him for sure. And here he comes to the ground. Get a few early hits on him. I got one good throw. And we missed that shot. So we did take a little bit of damage. Another benefit to having a thatch roof is we can also demo one of the roof sections and then lure him in through the top. That's extremely efficient, especially if you're don't have too much experience fighting the Argents, because they do have a quite powerful attack, so you don't want to get too into a melee battle with them. But as you can see, this guy's pretty bloodied up, so we should be able to drop him here pretty soon. Alright. Always make sure you check the inventory if you do have the option. You may be able to pick up some additional items. In this case, we picked up 2 arrows. Not going to need the hatchet, but we will go ahead and harvest him for the hide. Perfect. So not only was that a really good amount of experience, but we've also gained an additional amount of hide that we can use towards putting towards our bed. So we have 5 points left, so we're going to go ahead and invest in the sleeping bag. Next level, we should be able to make the simple bed. That'll allow us to respawn exactly where we need to at our new house. So again, we have made this really as a 2x2 right now with a thatch roof. Again, advantageous to demo out one of these, lure the Argents back, and then you can usually crouch and stab them directly through the ceiling. In some later videos, I'll give you some tips and tricks on actually making double thick walls. That's a great way when you're getting up to metal to really reinforce a high level endgame base. Alright, so let's go find ourselves some dodos. Now again, being that we're in the north, they're not going to be as prevalent as if you were in the south regions, or even some on the east and west coast. A lot of the north you're going to be facing, as you can see in the distance, saber-tooths, scorpions, Argents, all the nasty stuff. But then again, that is one of the reasons we are up here, is to really show a fast way to get experience, as well as some early tame on some high level dinos. So we've aggroed that scorpion. Hop up here on this rock. Ooh, was not expecting that. We may be in trouble here. So he went down the back side of the rock, so we should be okay, and we should come to before not too long. Now his friend, along with that saber, is on the other side, so if they come over here, we will be in trouble. And seeing as we took quite a few hits from that scorpion when he grabbed us, we may be out here for a bit. almost there. Looks like we might actually make it through this after all. So again, the reason we want to get dodos early on, as well as some dillas, is just to make sure that we can get some early eggs going to make a good kibble farm, get a pterodon tamed up so we can really get a better view of what's going on the island. Now, we can't make the saddle until a little bit later, and that's okay, because what we may end up doing is being able to trade for it early on with one of the other players. Now, if you were doing this on a fresh server, I would definitely encourage you just to focus on making the kibble early on. That way, when you do grind up to the level where you can make the saddle, it's ready to go, and you're not having any downtime. Now, sabers, when they attack, have a very long jump, so usually you can get them to overshoot the target. But in this case, we are now at a disadvantage being in the water. And might be able to get back up here. Oh, it's a race to the finish. Oh, the piranha! Come on! Alright, well, we'll respawn in North 1. And what the heck is that? Are we inside the walls? Son of a... Alright, well, I'm going to drown myself out here. I won't make you guys witness that. So... Well, actually, let's go take a look here. This is that base we saw earlier. I have an interesting design here. Now, it looks like someone's already carved this place up. No demo timer, so... Yeah, I would be very surprised if there's really anything left here. Now, one thing to keep in mind, though, as the timer expires for bases, if there's something like this, like a chest, but more importantly, a vault, because these you could very easily break into. No need to, because they're not pin-locked, but in the event that they were, you could just smash them open. But if there was, let's say, a vault structure, and you pay attention to the demo timer, you would actually be able to take advantage of that by being available or around when that timer comes up, because then you can simply demolish it, and it will actually drop every item that's inside to the ground. So definitely advantageous to keep track of those bases that are a little worse for wear. A lot of times people get raided out, and then they get pretty demoralized and end up leaving the game. So always keep tabs on bases that have been recently raided. They can be a great way to get some additional resources early on, especially on a server that's already been populated for a bit. Let's check out his little raft here. Let's see. Looks like this place has already been cleaned. No crumbs. Oh, stone. Nothing that we really could use. Ooh, a smithy now. That is not able to be pin-locked, but based on how clean these other things are, I'd be quite surprised, yeah, if anything was actually left in here. While we're on the topic of getting some additional resources, supply drops. Now, those are always going to be a really great way to get some early stuff. They are restricted by level, so being that we're only about level 10, we're not going to be able to get much more than the starter ones. But definitely good to keep an eye out for them, as they can be a great way to get some additional resources for building. Alright, let's go ahead and drown ourselves here. We should still be okay on the timer for our corpse. We'll speed up the process here a little bit by punching the wall. Not taking any damage for some reason. There we go. Now, one thing to keep in mind we mentioned previously was that your structure will actually prevent the spawn of vegetation, as well as some metal nodes, obsidian nodes, crystal nodes, basically any natural resource. But behemoth gates or dino gates that you'll see usually surrounding a lot of bases, they actually do not block any of the spawn. So if you're on the edge of a mountain by a resource-rich area, don't worry about where you're placing those, because they will not prevent the respawn of nodes, resources such as trees, foliage, but your foundations, any other major building structure will prevent those spawns. Alright, so we'll go ahead and respawn in Zone 1. Alright here. Well, we are actually still pretty far, so I'm going to do a quick jog back to the body, and I'll pick it up from there. But I do see we have a Dodo here. So the easiest way to get this guy is just going to be to knock him out with your fists. You can also use slingshot. We did pick up that engram earlier, but seeing as we do not have any berries at this time, we'll go ahead and get our corpse. As you do increase your melee damage, the added benefit is the additional resources you can harvest per swing. However, if you're trying to knock something small out like a Dodo with your bare hands, you could potentially end up killing it before it does go unconscious. Alright, so I'm going to run back in a bit, and we'll pick it up in part 2.